All right, fam. I'm still on this topic. We got a bunch of DEI topics, but I'm really on this black people in white spaces. It's always intrigued me because one thing people need to understand, although we love to talk about BIPOC and we love to talk about people of color, black people have a whole different situation in America because one, we were brought here without, but not by choice. And so once you're owned, the situation between us and our white counterparts is different. This is why even it's an interesting conversation about the difference between black Americans and someone like people who come over from Africa. But that's a whole nother time. We'll talk about that. I want to talk about a big effect I think that being black in a majority white space has, particularly in your youth. If the norm is white, if everything you're around is white, and what is seen as excellent is based on what are European standards, as a black person, it's very difficult to have a solid esteem. As a person who a good part of my life when I was younger was in an all white world for some time, I felt unattractive because there was nothing I could do that would make me look like the people around me. So I never felt that any of my traits were attractive. And so my esteem could not be at all celebrated. And it's interesting to me. I was just in Jacksonville, Florida, with visiting a girlfriend and her daughter. Went to watch basketball games, and all the people, everybody there was black. And people had just a different air, a little swag, a little feeling because they didn't have to be uncomfortable about their African features, their hair, their noses, their lips, their whatever. So on. Not saying that we don't get teased and have issues within the black community, because Lord knows we do. Colorism, a whole nother thing we need to talk about. I'm very real that I benefit from some shit, but another thing. But it still is different where you're not seen as completely wrong. And so I believe that when you are a black person in white spaces, particularly as a child, but even as an adult, it is difficult to have a solid self-esteem because whatever you are, being a black person is not seen as the norm and is certainly not seen as the best. And so that is something we have to work through. I think that's why when you see black people who accept themselves, start wearing their hair natural or whatever, it's because it is a major statement for us. We have accepted ourselves and we finally feel okay or great.